who is the X factor for the Sixers to make a run this postseason? Like, I'll ask you, like, you can include Joel Embiid, you can include Ben Simmons, you included Tobias Harris, but like, is there anyone else? Because Dives asked a question up above, like Danny Green, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, but who is the X factor for you for them to be successful?
Yeah, so the X factor for me, I would stay away from the big names because that's almost inevitable. You're
Right.
not going to win if Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons play poorly and your X factor off the bench plays a really good, strong game, right? So I guess for me, the X factor is going to be Matisse Thybulle, and specifically later in the rounds, if you're going to play a Brooklyn Nets, what is Matisse Thybulle going to do? Is he going to shut down the opposing shut him down? It's hard to do, or shut down their number one option. They have three options that can be classified as number one. But I do think that you have like a Swiss Army knife in Matisse Thybulle, and his limitations offensively, on top of Ben Simmons' limitations offensively, is going to screw up the spacing on the floor. There's no doubt about it. So it comes down to, sometimes you have those games where Matisse knocks down 2 of 3 from 3, or, 2 of 4 from 3. That would be great. I probably would anticipate him being afraid to pull the trigger at times, which is going to be a bit concerning, and I am worried about the half-court sets. But for me, I think it would be Matisse Thybulle because this team's identity all year was defense. So if you're going to have a team that's going to be able to, slow down a Brooklyn Nets firepower offense to the best of their ability, it's going to come down to that side of the floor. And I think because that's who you've been all year, you've been a shutdown team, not so much in transition, but hopefully that changes when the game slows down the pace a bit. I would go with Matisse Thybulle. I think that he's just a Swiss Army knife that can give you a really tough time if you're on the other side.
Let me stem off that Matisse comment real quick. Just, again, picturing we make it to a series and let's say we're playing the almighty Brooklyn Nets. How much can Matisse play in a game next to Ben Simmons where we're trailing by like 7 or 8 points? And at that point, I just don't know how much you can see him alongside Ben, that is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And you're not just going to take Ben Simmons out of the game to throw in George Hill for a huge stretch of time just so you can find minutes for Matisse Thybulle. And that's where it becomes, really, really fascinating on how they're going to draw this thing up. And, I know we started off saying, I'm not worried. But there is the Ben fear, right? But that's more, we're not talking first round. We're not even talking about the New York Knicks. We're talking about if we're playing the Brooklyn Nets, who have elite superstars and a team of that nature. So, yeah, I mean, the Ben thing is real. And I've been a Ben Simmons stan for about 3 years or so. And then there's a breaking point for me because, ironically enough, if we bring up the New York Knicks, right, Julius Randle has grown in so many areas of his game. Joel Embiid went from what he was last year to this year. That's your job as a professional athlete. And I know that he's gotten better. I mean, he has. I used to cover the Sixers for 97.3 ESPN. I would go down way before the game. I watched this man hit 100 threes nonstop. I mean, he does work on the craft. It's not coming out in the game, and that's a monster problem. He does work on the craft, but your job is to take that next step. You can't just shy away, not look at the basket, get walled off, and think the easy answer is to just pass it out to a Mike Scott who swarmed in the corner, and that's your last possession of a game. That stuff just can't happen. So I don't know how you live with it. And that is, once we start talking about playing a real contender, that's a big concern for me. And I appreciate, this is what I don't love. I can't get mad at Ben because he plays hard defense and passes the ball well. No. Why do I have to settle for those two being the only thing where his ceiling is so elite that I'm not satisfied with an 80% of Ben Simmons? He needs to be 100 because 100 is one of the best in the league. It's not asking for Seth Curry to be 100. It's not Furkan 100. Some guys are just different type of athletes. It's Ben Simmons at 100. That's franchise changing. I'm not willing to be satisfied with just 70 or 80% of someone who could tear the league into pieces. That's a disservice to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know Gen agrees with you. It's just the frustrating part with me because I'm a Ben stan, and it's not the, well, he plays defense at an elite level and he passes really well. So like I give him a pass. I'm not giving him a pass. And like I've said, like the stretch where he had 5 points, 7 points, 9 points, like that's not
a lot of turnovers too during that time.
That's not that can't happen in the postseason. Okay. I say all that, but like you're level headed with it. You say it because you see what Ben Simmons can be with that element to his game. I can't stand. My beef is with the the Twitter geniuses.
He just stinks.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot a basketball. He's not a real point guard. He's this, he's that. So that's where a lot of our frustrations come from. But Brodes, I want to put you on the spot here because we've been dancing around it for a while, all show about, what needs to happen, what needs to go right for the Sixers, their road there. What are your predictions for the 76ers in the 2021 playoffs? How far will they get? Not can they, will they?
No, I think they win the championship. I really do. I think they can win the championship this year. There are fears, with Ben specifically. I hate to just keep harping on him, but it is a big part of this. The success is going to ride with that. And Joel, here's something that as you play tougher opponents, and with all this, right? So I'm going to look at it in a way that might make it feel like, how can you say they're going to win a championship when you're bringing this up? Because all teams have issues. So if Ben Simmons is the Sixers' issues, no team is absolutely perfect. None. LeBron makes up for those mistakes. AD makes up for those mistakes. Kawhi Leonard makes up for the mistakes of Toronto. And sometimes luck bounces your way with injuries to the opponent. There's so many things that can be involved here. I look at it as, can Joel Embiid make up for those flaws of your team? Brooklyn has no bench, and they haven't really played a lot of basketball together while they have the most firepower of all the teams. The Bucks, we talk about taking steps and growth and development. They're still in that tier of they need to get over that hump. They haven't done it yet, and they might be able to with Drew Holiday. I don't know, but they haven't done it yet. There's no clear-cut team that it's automatic and it's obvious that they're going to do it. So with that being said, even with the Sixers' flaws that I'm about to bring up, they still have a great high chance of doing it. But with Joel Embiid, they're going to double, they're going to triple, they're going to come at the baseline double team, they're going to come from the free throw line, they're going to make him feel so uncomfortable and early in the shot clock so he can't jab step you to death and hit that mid-range jumper. So he can't put his back to the bag. They're going to force you. I call it the anything but rule. Anything or anyone but, I should say. Anyone but Joel. So if Seth is wide open, they'll live with it. If Danny's wide open, they'll live with it. If that's the mentality, will Joel Embiid be able to make up for your flaws? Probably not. Then the answer is, well, can it be Danny or Ben in the dunker spot or anybody, Tobias Harris being that Robin? Can this team just collectively make up for the flaws that they have in the half-court sets and with their point guard not shooting, because it is a flaw. So, but I do think, like I said, with all that, I still think they have a great chance of doing it. I really do.
There you go again. You a little less pessimistic now?
I'm not pessimistic.
All right, Brodes, before we get you out of here.
But I got something here. I got something because that made me think about it a little bit. It's like, because I was thinking about this today. I go on a walk at my local park where I just get some fresh air, COVID, fresh air, breathing. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to breathe. So I was just self-reflecting, thinking about the Sixers and whatnot. And you just feel like, I don't know if the Sixers are going to be able to do it. What team, and this is why I feel the way that I do. When you look around the league, there really is no team this year that it's the Golden State Warriors. It's LeBron James and a team in Miami when he was playing for the Heat. There is no team like that. So if there's no clear-cut choice that you're afraid of the way that you are, why not the Sixers? Now, I would agree with you if there was a Golden State Warriors team where it's like, wow, really? There's no way. Even if they get to the finals, there's no way. I'm not like that with Utah or Phoenix or any of these teams. Even if they do land the Clippers in the NBA finals, a good team, and you're going to have to beat a good team to win a championship. They're not an unstoppable team. So if you feel a little nervous about the Sixers, is there a team that would make you feel that way? I guess is my question. Like, what team would make you feel nervous?
Not me. I picked the Sixers to win the chip last night. So, Gint, I think Gint's kind of on board, too. I just think he's –
yeah. So, I'm on the board of I definitely want to see how Brooklyn performs at full strength before – so the question was brought to me was, who would you put your money on currently between the Sixers and Brooklyn in the series? I said, I'm not going to make that bet at any point anytime soon. We haven't even seen them play. Now, I think we pose a lot of problems to them. But I also think Brooklyn might take the route of, you have Joel Embiid, I understand that. Will he be able to beat our three guys by himself? Kind of the method that Golden State used to take against LeBron. And it was, you see LeBron's numbers, 41, 10, and 7, but they're okay with Steph having 20, Kevin Durant having 31, and Klay Thompson having another 20. So, but again, I'm a Sixers fan. I am optimistic, even though I haven't really sounded it. They're the number one seed for a reason. They have to play a 7-game series against us with home court advantage. But as of right now, I wouldn't put my money on anyone. But I am. I am.
Brodes, I got to tell you this. On yesterday's show, we were talking all about this. And after I picked them to win, we had a commenter say, like, stop it. You're getting overexcited. They have no chance. Let's face it. If Brooklyn's healthy, they have no chance. And then he went on to say, what did he say? All they have to do
is stop Joel Embiid.
Is stopping Joel Embiid. And I'm like, oh, well, I think his name was.
That's it.
I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Man, I don't know why no one's thought of that yet. Well, that's not so simple, bud. So there's no one's pulling that plan out of their ass and just stopping Joel Embiid. Like, it's just not that simple. And that's why he's the sole reason I'm picking them to win the title. Well, he's not the sole reason. Obviously, like the step that Tobias Harris has taken from last year, how he went from one of, in a lot of people's minds, if Al Horford wasn't a 76er last year, Tobias Harris, with his play and his contract, people would have been even more anti-Tobias Harris going into this season. And the way Doc Rivers and himself have turned his game back around, and he's averaging just around 20 points per game. And then the veteran leadership, Danny Green, Seth Curry, the 3-point shooting and spacing, I get it. But what it comes down to is how dominant Joel Embiid has been all year long. And I'm being serious with you. You're right. Like, in my lifetime, LeBron's the most dominant force, dominant athlete I've ever seen in my lifetime. This season is the most dominant performance I've ever seen. There's no answer to him, dude. I know in Miami what they hold him to, 8 points or 10 points or whatever in the game 70 or whatever. No, that's the biggest outlier I've ever seen. He consistently averaged 31 this year. Like, the mid-range is knockdown. Post knockdown. He can step out. He's passing out of a double team better than I've ever seen in my entire that he's played in his career, which is a huge step for me. And then just the fact that, he gets to the line 8 times a game. He shoots 14 to 16 free throws a game, and that's all he's going to do against the Brooklyn Nets. And they can throw double teams at him. They can try to zone like Miami did, throw different looks at the Sixers and wall off Ben Simmons. He's the most dominant force in the NBA, and that's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. I'm with you. All the things that you just mentioned is so lethal. There is the anyone but rule that comes into play here, but it's not that easy, right? I mean, if you do find a wide open Danny Green in the corner, guess what? More times than not, he's going to make it splash. I think it's so damn funny that about 15 games into the season, half this town wanted him out of here, and I go, he's not this bad. He's Danny Green. He's a champion for a reason. It's the same thing you see with Andrew McCutchen. Oh, he's terrible. He's hitting 156. He's done. No, he's not. Andrew McCutchen has done way too much to be a 156 hitter in this league with the snap of your fingers, and now he's hitting leadoff home runs.
He got new contact.
Yeah, there you go. It was a mess, don't get me wrong, but it's just so funny how, like, you forget there's a reason why Danny Green is looked upon as Danny Green and won so many championships in this league. But yeah, anyway, getting back on Joel Embiid, you're right. This has been, even when Allen Iverson, and I was a little young with the whole AI thing. Yeah, I mean, I'll be 26 years old on Sunday, so I'm not going to tell you I've heavily dissected the Allen Iverson era the same. I mean, I'm 6 years old. I'm not like, oh, wow, look at that pick. You know what I mean? But Joel Embiid's dominance, though, what we've seen this year, you can't stop him. You just and it makes it so much more unique because this era is not filled with the big man. Although it's a copycat league. Everyone's going with that Steph Curry lifestyle. I wonder, and they're rare, so it's not, you can't just pluck them off trees here. But is this league going to start looking for the Embiids and the Jokic's instead of going full throttle? It's a little bit of both because Utah seems to be going with that run and gun LA fitness, Brodes with the 40-year-old dads that are done work at 6 p.m. lifestyle, just running and banging threes.
To go back to my comment, too, about the Nets and all that, it could also go very bad, and they could turn out to be pointing the fingers at each other. Kyrie wants the ball more. James Harden wants to touch the ball more. And, I mean, Steve Nash is a rookie coach, and you have to orchestrate a plan for Joel Embiid. Who knows how that's going to work? So,
listen,
I don't want to sound too –
That's a good point. No, it's a good point. No, I'm with you. I know you're not a hater, although you sound like one.
No, so here's my thing with Brooklyn. Me and Ginn have talked about this over and over again, but, like, when it comes down to Brooklyn, yes, it has the potential to be something we've never seen before. Those 3 isolation players, 3 of the best isolation players we've ever seen. And if it works, the whole one ball argument, I'm not, listening to, right? It's the defensive side for me, right? And everyone keeps saying, well, when Brooklyn gets healthy, well, How the hell do you know Brooklyn's going to get healthy? Because they played a grand total of 7 games together since freaking January when they assembled this team. So you don't know that they're going to get healthy. If they do, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, whoever's been the guy out, isn't a big man. He's not a rim protector. So they don't do anything to stop Joel Embiid. They haven't done anything to provide rim protection, right? But defensively, like that's where the finger pointing and the frustration can set in with me. Instead, not the one ball, not I'm not getting enough touches, enough shots. It's okay. Well, in the postseason when they haven't played a lot together, switching on defense, help defense. You know, when you get backdoor cut layup, backdoor cut dunk, transition dunk, and it's like, yo, aren't you supposed to be there? And then no, like that. That's where it kind of comes into play for me. And the other thing is, this has never worked, guys. It is a team who's with that defense, whatever they're ranked now. I know they're not as bad as they were when they first got together, but they're not good. They're not a good defensive team by any means. It's never worked. This style of basketball has never won a championship. And I just think people that bow down to it and assume that these three are going to be healthy and these three are going to average 28 to 30 apiece and they're going to run through the East and win the NBA title is absolutely mind-boggling to me.
No, it's a good point. And I remember last year and all, we kept hearing the phrase built for the playoffs, which was very frustrating. But
bully ball?
It reminds me, though, a little bit of built for the play. And I think you realize, by the way, like, and that goes back to another philosophy that teams might have with the whole bully ball thing. And I know that Brett Brown, and I'm sure you've heard my takes on Brett. I think that people just got so frustrated. There's no NBA coach that lasts 7-8 years. Like, there's a reason why guys like Doc Rivers, who are good at their job, end up moving on because the message just runs dry eventually. 7, 8 years, it's a long time. Most people do lose their voice in that strength of or that length of time. But with the whole bully ball, it's like you realize that you can't win with twos. Like teams are banging threes. If you go 2 for 3, and that's why teams might say, hey, Joel, go ahead and beat us as long as Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris are limited. Joel, I'll let you go down in the post and just continue to score twos because we're hitting threes on the other side. No, I don't think that'll work with the Wizards and the bad teams. It's weird this year, but I have to give credit to the Sixers for putting us in this position. Normally that wouldn't apply to first, second round matchups. This year, it's like, hey, I don't even care about those. I'm talking more heavier action. But built for the playoffs, getting back on track with the Nets. That's what it seems like. Very similar to just wait for the playoffs. No matter what, just wait for the playoffs. It didn't work with the Sixers. It didn't work with the year with the Boston Celtics and Kyrie Irving. That fell apart. There's always a team every year that the expectations are so high and you just wait for it to turn around, and it never really does. And there's something in my stomach that tells me it might be the Brooklyn Nets this year.
Nothing would make me happier, and I think that happens. I think that happens in the second round. I'm not lying. I said it last night.
That's not ridiculous to think. The
No.
Bucks are a good team, man.
I know, and I think people put them on.
underrated.
Yeah, people put them on the back burner. It was the Sixers have been like the 1 seed all year long, so obviously they're in the conversation. And then the Nets assembled this team, so now people propel them to the top. They have the best odds to win the title, whatever will come out of the East. And like we had so many commenters, like when we were talking about Brooklyn, like as lumping the three together, they're like, stop it with Brooklyn, like blah blah blah. That's not true. And like we've seen it. Yes, the Nets haven't been fully healthy, but we just watched Brooklyn beat the Brooklyn Nets twice in one weekend. A few weeks ago in the last week or two of the regular season. They're a damn good team. The Nets, if they don't have an answer for Joel Embiid, which they don't have an answer for Giannis, and they won't have an answer. That answer just isn't coming out of thin air. And Drew Holiday, I think defensively, the Bucks are one of the teams that can match up with the Nets a little bit. No, you're right. No one's stopping. No one's shutting down Kevin Durant. No one's shutting down James Harden and Kyrie Irving. But there's guys that you can throw at them to limit them. And if that happens, is Joe Harris going to bang 6 threes, 7 threes consistently throughout the playoffs? Are they somehow going to play great team defense? I just don't see it. So I honestly think the Nets get bounced in the second round. Watch, they'll probably sweep the Bucks now.
That's funny. That's how it always goes, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, while they're a great team with Giannis, I always go grow man's league, right? That's one of my big ones where, there's a reason why you look at the greatest, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, even Kevin Durant, and it took him not only his age, but to go to Golden State to do it as well with the stacked team. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Giannis is in that stage of Joel Embiid. They're rare, and they're in this awesome category of dominance, but they haven't put it all together yet, and they're not really – they're raw in this superstar mode. More Joel is, I would say, more raw than Giannis because at least Giannis had it last year with the season MVP and all. but there's still a lot to learn once you get to this area. It's great that you're there, but you still need to learn how to act, how to mature, how to dominate, how to do everything as that superstar once you become, the Joel Embiid and the Giannis. So with as great as the Bucks are as a team, there is that element of Giannis hasn't learned how to put it all together in a playoff series yet to finally take that leap. Kevin Durant has. Now, James Harden hasn't. Kyrie Irving has as a secondary option. So that would be my concern if I'm looking at that series where, sure, I don't think it's out of the thing is, I think all three of these teams legitimately have a chance to do it.
Right.
They really do in their own way. So that's kind of where it's at.
All right, Brodes. Now, before we get you out here, I do got to touch on the Philadelphia Phillies with you.
Yes, my heart.
What is this team, Brodes? What are they? I don't have any damn idea.
They are
injured? Can we say they're injured? They're beat up?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt they're beat up. They're also lacking talent. They're lacking execution. I would say that they are what they're giving you. Like, even without the injuries and all, like, this is the Philadelphia Phillies. We've seen this be nothing new is happening this year that we haven't seen in the last 2 seasons. This is the Phillies. They don't just lose. They crush you. They make you stare at the wall for 3 hours after the game. You think you're stoned, and you realize, wait, I didn't even smoke tonight. You're just like, what just happened? And then you watch the extended highlights. You're like, what? That actually happened? It happened. They lose in these crazy ways that just don't make sense. But I'll tell you what, heading into the season, I saw the over-under set by Vegas at 80. That's a little low, but Vegas knows a lot more than I do. Still thought it was low. I see them as an 85, 86 win team. So what is an 85, 86 win team? They're basically a 500 team all year long. And then somewhere throughout that journey, there's 4 wins. That's a nice little run, that whether that's a 10-game win streak followed by a 6-game losing streak, however they do it, which I bet you it's going to be nuts. They're just a tick above 500, and that's who they are. But I'm here for that emotional roller coaster because I enjoy the emotion of just playing tug of war with my body.
Yeah. How was that roller coaster of emotion last night when Andrew Knapp sent a ball about 329 feet?
I thought it was happening. I thought it was happening. Look, Andrew Knapp was my Furkan Korkmaz at one point, right?
Yeah, me too.
But to be fair, dude, he hit. This is what I can't stand, right? The guys that are like, I can't believe you. Let's look up right now. As much as Andrew Knapp has put together nice at-bats, okay, and he's been okay this year, my man is hitting 182. 182! That's garbage. But we're looking at him like, best backup catcher in baseball. He's hitting 182. So going back to the years that we all hated him, he hit 198. He hit under 200 a whole year. He hit 213 the year before. And right now we're jumping up for joy that our catcher's hitting 182.
I'll share a little secret with you. I hate him.
You still hate him?
I hate him.
Okay. I don't hate him as much as I did in the past, to be fair.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes, like, these players. So I have a list. So on this show, like, you can ask Ginn. I really wish I could make a T-shirt with it. But are you a WWE guy?
I used to be back in the day when it was Booker T, Rey Mysterio, Cena.
So you know Chris Jericho?
Sure, absolutely.
Remember his list? Like, you just made the list?
Yes.
I have a list, bro.
Okay.
But it's not other athletes. It's Philadelphia athletes that play for the teams that I love and hold dearly to my heart.
You
right?
hate Scott Lawton, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, how'd you know that was coming?
That's a bad take by you.
He's actually the first person that made the list was Scott Lawton.
That's a bad take, man.
Yeah.
That's a bad take. But go ahead. I want to hear your list first. For Scott Lawton.
Yeah, and then he scored a hat trick on my birthday this year against
the
Pats.
There you go. Yeah, flipped you off.
But this is what always happens. So Furkan Korkmaz, 110% on the list. Okay,
I hate him.
And I'll talk. First of all, I wish Nadir was in here. So we have a commenter from, I don't know where Nadir's from, but he loves Furkan Korkmaz.
He's probably from Turkey.
I think he's out. He's Eastern European or wherever.
Okay.
But he loves Furkan and gives me a lot of shit for him. But every time I dog Furkan, that night, 2 nights later, 6 threes. First Phillies game I go to this year is the Sunday game on Easter against the Braves. I get there with my man Scotty. I didn't even know JT wasn't playing. Andrew Knapp's in the lineup. I'm texting Ginn. Jesus Christ, Knapp's in the lineup. Like, why did I come to this game? First plate appearance, puts one off the scoreboard on the upper tank, right?
Amazing.
Like, it's Scott Lawton, dog Scott Lawton. hat trick on my birthday. And the Scott, he's just like, dude,
But in today's game, I actually look. I used to hate him. I was like, I can't believe. I remember even Amadeo who popped up in the chat.
Yeah.
Right, I would tell him like, I cannot believe we're going back to the Scott Lawtons, the Raffles, the Lindbloms, and this was prior to AV's year where they actually went on a nice run or whatever. Like, I will admit, Lawton has become there's a reason why we talked about him as maybe getting you a first round pick back at the trade deadline. He's that valuable on the PK. He could play wing. He could play center. He gives you depth. As much as I used to roast Scott Lawton for just being a grinder, he's way more than just a grinder now. So
for sure. It's just like,
he's the best out of the three that we've mentioned.
He is, and I agree with you there. But there's times where now was it a regular season game this year against New York, or no? It was the game against Boston earlier this year where the Flyers blew a third period lead late. They let up 2 goals in like the final 3 minutes or whatever. And Lawton's on the ice for the second one to tie it. And with like 8 seconds left,
he took a penalty.
Dumbest freaking penalty I've ever seen. It's the penalty where you're at the Wells Fargo Center and everyone's like going nuts at the ref, like wondering why. And you see a replay. That's why, asshole. Like, it's a penalty, right? Like, it was one of those. It was either a high stick or
might have been a cross check or board or something, right?
Something. It was so stupid. It was like a frustration penalty with 8 seconds left before overtime. Flyers go down 4-3. Disadvantage, and then Boston buries one like 30 seconds in. And I'm like, that's why I hate him. That like he's that irritating little piece on the Flyers for me, and then he does little shit like that here and there. Like, you know who I used to. Radko Gudas. Oh my God, when he was a Flyer.
You know what's funny though? But here's what I'm noticing about this trend, right? And I get why Furkan bothers you because I'm not big on. But think about what we're talking about right now. So we're talking about a third depth line center / wing. We're talking about a 10th man off the bench, and we're talking about the backup catcher.
Yeah,
all of these things, like. I mean, like,
so, but you know what it is?
That's what it is.
But crazy. I think it's the fan base, Brodes. I think it's the fan base for the people that love these little, like, not irrelevant, but oh my God, TJ. I know that's definitely your boy, Brodes, but he's 100%.
Well, he's my boy in terms of when I play pickleball, I wear a TJ McConnell jersey, and I want to be him, and I am him. But other than that, I'm not like some stan. You know what I mean?
It's the fan base that
is me. Literally, that's my game.
Yeah, Amadeo's right. The Lawton one's weird, man. Like, because the fan base doesn't overhype him. I don't know what it is. The Korkmaz, and I guess it's just from doing this show here at the Painted Lines with the people I've interacted with that love Furkan. And
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know where it has ever come from.
There's this thing where like people forget that regular season is not the playoffs. So because there's a role, and I'll give Korkmaz this. There's a role for regular season bench, end of the bench type of minutes that won't play in the postseason. I can get behind that. If you told me entering the season, this is his role. He's a guy that'll play some regular season minutes, back end of the bench, space out the foot. Every team has a guy that won't play in the playoffs, but serves minutes, logging in minutes in a regular season. You can do that at 40% 3-point shooting. He used to be under 30 as a 3-point specialist. That's where I had the problem. He's earned his way into that role, but he can't hang. If you're going a mismatch and Kyrie Irving gets a switch on Korkmaz, dude, good luck.
Dude, that's like when Nadir blamed Doc Rivers for Ferk's lack of 3-point shooting percentage this year. Oh my God.
Jeez,
the worst part is it's not a troll. Like I've done some. I tried to do some investigating on. Hey, well, watch it. It's not a terrible take. But one last thing I got to get your opinion on, man. Joe Girardi, fan or not? Because that's a very, divisive conversation going on in Philadelphia right now as well.
Yeah, so I think that he could do better, and I'm not saying that I'm overwhelmed with what he's not. I'd say I'm a little disappointed, right? I would just say he's been okay. Here's my problem with it. Like, this is the perfect example. The other day, he put in Jose Alvarado, who allowed a 2-run home run. The score was now 3-1 to Jazz, and I got this tweet at me. Why would Joe Girardi ever put in Jose Alvarado? And I'm thinking, okay, what do you mean? It's a late inning situation in a game. He goes, why not Kinsler? Why not Coonrod? So those were the 2 names that he gave me. The following night, he put in Kinsler. He allows 3 straight singles and had to pull him for Coonrod. So then I get a comment from the same individual. I said Coonrod. Why not Coonrod? Well, hold on. The night before, you used Kinsler as an option. My point is this. All of these guys, they're in the same category, okay? Kinsler, Coonrod, Alvarado, Connor Brogdon. What doesn't make sense to me is putting in David Hale in the 8th inning. That would be an asinine move. To utilize any of these 4 or 5 guys in the 7th inning, they all make sense. It just because it doesn't work out doesn't mean it's a bad philosophy going into it. It's just the players need to execute at some point. And I was anti-Gabe Kapler, and I'll say this. I think that I owe him to a degree an apology because I put too much stock into what a manager does in 2021 and 2020 and 2019. We want them to have the impact of the old school manager. They don't. They do not have the impact. So while I'm not happy with some of the things I've seen out of Joe Girardi, this team, if you flip-flop Joe Girardi with any other manager, they're 22 and 21. You're not flip-flopping any manager with Joe Girardi, and somehow magically you have 6 more wins on your record this year. This team is what they are because Rhys Hoskins struggles during moments, because your defense is poor. And the best example of this isn't Little League, right? You don't have to tell Gene Segura that before a game, hey, Gene, make sure you stay low. You'll get a freeze pop after the game out in right field. You know what I mean? That's not how it works.
You want some big league chew?
Yeah, exactly. It's just professional sports. So these sloppy plays, this and that, that's not Joe Girardi. The sloppy plays is on Gene Segura. It's on Mickey Moniak, who sucks. It's on all Adam Hazley, who sucks. It's on all these guys that suck. It's not on the manager. Andrew McCutcheon hitting 156 is why you're losing games. It's not Joe Girardi. Like, for another example, I can't believe Girardi's putting Torreyes in the lineup. Torreyes had 2 insane hits after Odubel yesterday that put him in a position, or one was a walker, one was a whatever. He got on base 2 times, one in the 3rd, one in the 8th. Very big to start some rallies. You're bitching and complaining that Joe's making bad and not putting in Nick Maton. Dude, with all due respect, we thought Scott Kingery 2 years ago was the next great thing. He stinks now. Let's not crown Nick Maton, this guy that is unacceptable to take out of the lineup. So that's my thoughts on Joe Girardi. Too much hate towards the manager. Everyone needs a scapegoat. Let's look at it. You know, every team has their scapegoat of guys that puts all the blame on it, as if the reason why they're 22 and 21 is Joe. Give me a break.
Nadir is in the building, man. I wish we were still in the Sixers, but we're not, bro.
We got Nadir?
Yeah, he said I'm here.
Someone must have. You think
Nadir,
that there's
hold
like
on.
a group chat? It's like, yo, Nadir, they're calling for you.
Yeah, well, Amadeo knows because Amadeo said, "Here we go."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was an ongoing thing for a while. He hasn't been around as often lately, but when did Nadir tell me that Ferk would be in this rotation, like be a big part of this team? He told me February, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's probably he might in the first round, and then from there, it'll. That's the problem I have, even with I hate to say this, like the Ben Simmons stands. What's going to happen is he's going to explode against a Washington Wizards team, and I'm supposed to get a Brodes. Well, what did I tell
exactly.
you?
And
no, I don't care about the Wizards.
We had Tyrone Johnson on the show a couple weeks ago, and the best thing that he said, one of the takeaways was when we had to get his opinion on Korkmaz, because that's an ongoing thing here, as you could tell, and his whole thing was, it's great that he can get that shot off against the Wizards or the Magic or the Timberwolves or whoever. Can he get the shot off against the Milwaukee Bucks? Can he get that shot off against, the Denver Nuggets of the world, the Miami Heat of the world? No, he hasn't. And he's still yet to prove that to me. But every game, and the thing with Korkmaz is every game that he goes off for 16 points and hits 5 threes, he'll have 6 games where he's a non-factor or a detriment to this team. But Brodes, thank you so much for coming on, man. Everyone give him a follow. Well, just plug your stuff because you have a ton going on right now. So go ahead.
Yeah, so basically just the good old Brodes Media. We made the transition from Sports Talk with Brodes to Brodes Media, which is just like above that. So we have like shows falling underneath the Brodes Media umbrella. So just to keep it real simple, Brodes Media pretty much on YouTube, Twitch, and that's where YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and from there you'll be able to find everything dispersed throughout. So that's kind of where we're at. You had me looking at Korkmaz's 2021 game log and some of his statistics. That's what I'm going to do once we're done here. I'm going to go through a Furkan Korkmaz game log until the Phillies begin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Have
Absolutely.
a good one.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
No problem. All right, Gin, I think we're just about to wrap up here, but man, Nadir came in late.
Yeah, dude. Like you said, it's like the Under Armour. Dong.
Brodes on Twitch playing some chill. Absolutely. Everyone go give him a follow if you don't already. I'm sure most of you do at Brodes81 and go give Brodes Media a follow. You can give me a follow at DylanJD98 and give Gin a follow at Matt_McGinty. DSM Media, everybody. Brock, give my man Brock a follow at Landis Brock. And guys, go subscribe to DSM Media's YouTube channel and follow our Twitch channel if you want to be entered for a chance to win the Joel Embiid City Edition t-shirt heading into this postseason. And we will be doing more giveaways as the weeks go on here, progressing towards the Sixers run. For myself, for Gint, have a nice night, everybody, and thanks so much.